I think my feet, just me personally, I can't handle a stiff boot. I have some stiff boots before. I'll jump in that. It's the second time I've worn stiff boots. I had a pair of stiff boots back in the day. They're custom boots. You can do some additions, like they'll fix things on it for you. Kept sending them back, doing some extra things. I could not make that boot work for me. I tried it for 2 seasons. Every time I put that boot on, I get a blister. Doesn't matter how much I've been hiking, how tough my feet are, it just does not work for me.
It could be the stiffness of the sole. It also could just be the shape of your heel pocket.
So I have a very smaller heel, and my heel always does not want to move up and down. So I don't know if it's the way my foot's structured, but I feel like my foot always wants to flex. So no matter how many socks I can, put a liner sock on, another sock over top of it, my back heel will always, like I've even done the boot tying techniques, like tie your boot differently to try to lock that thing down there. But it's just stiff boots, just not for me. And I think it wrecks every time I've done it. I've only done it twice, so I don't have a very big sample size here.
But if it's 2 for 2,
2 for 2, giant blisters, and that was horrible for me.
I always say 1 time means you were lucky, twice means it's real.
Yeah.
And that goes for everything in life. Like if you do something once, you were just lucky.
So sure, I didn't get a full chance to break those in. But my feet are tough. I've been scouting all summer, hiking all the time. I hike all the time here, like running, working out. And just wrecked me. So
I had one time where I got a giant blister and it opened up, like you're saying, and I taped it up, and then I would let that thing dry out, and over time it was like starting to crack, with the creases in your heel. And it got down like real deep and it was bleeding, and I got home and I think it was my dad said, "Hey, you got something going on with your foot," but you can see that I had a vein in my leg and it was just bright red running up my leg. So I had to get on antibiotics for that.
Holy shit!
So you don't want to
man.
mess around with your feet.
No.
Blisters can be bad.
I have a different, because I don't struggle with the blisters, but like talking about the stiff boots. So I do prefer a stiffer boot in real steep country, and my reason is just what I feel. I don't know if this is the actual science behind it by any means, but like I am a heavier guy. I'm just a denser build than you, right? I take shorter steps. It takes me more steps to get places that you're going. I got short, little, tiny legs.
girthy though.
Girthy, strong, girthy.
Surprisingly fast, Lorenzo.
Surprisingly
He is really
fast.
fast. You've seen him run? We do those like sprints.
I've only raced one time. It was, the first year I worked here, we did a foot race, and I got smoked.
I got sprinters.
I wasn't young. I wasn't old then either.
No, it was one thing I can proudly say about myself is my vertical and my speed. It was all there. My thing is endurance, like the endurance stuff. It just takes me, 4 steps for your 1 step, right? Like, so what I find with myself is my calf gets burnt out. My calves get burned out super quick because my weight, just my general body weight for one. So when I get a stiffer boot and I can rely on my quads to take more of the work, like that's where I find a lot of my efficiencies hiking is working my upper legs and not relying on that foot flex and my calves all the time. I feel it big time when I don't have a stiff enough boot. But my thing is my left knee that I've never repaired since football. If I get too stiff and it takes away my ankle and foot flex, it makes all the side to side flex and it makes all that stuff come from the knee, right? If you strap that down, it just kind of works its way up the chain. And my left knee starts to take a lot of the stability, like a lot of the stability work, which I can't do very well. So I have a really hard time manipulating the perfect amount of flex and not flex, because then my knee will start taking it, and then the first thing that goes for me is my hip, because then I want it off my knee. So then I start using my right leg harder, and then my hips get fucked up, and that's where when I go down in the backcountry real sore, that's what it's all coming from for me. But the stiff boot, getting all that work out of my calf is what I prefer.
It's a big deal. I mean, I went on an elk hunt, I remember, and we had 2 tags. We killed a bull on the second day. Those 2 days I'd been wearing like a trail runner, like a real flexible shoe. It was great for just bombing around. I was super quick. I had probably 45, 50 pound pack on my back.
You're always a light guy. Can't believe how light you go.
Yeah, I was cruising. I mean, and I felt pretty good. Packed that elk out, and I was got a lot of weight on my back at that point, and my calves are just torched.
Yeah.
Just absolutely torched, and then traded out for a stiffer boot halfway through the hunt, went back out, and it was like night and day difference. And that was for me. I was I always really like a super flexible running style shoe. I've got a bunch of those and I've hunted with them over the time and I've liked them, but they're not great for long-term backpack heavyweight hunts. It just torches my calves.
Yeah. So do your calves go first too?
Yeah, typically my calves. So I've gone back to if I'm elk hunting and I'm backpacking, I've got 50 pounds with the potential of having, 80, 90 when I'm packing meat. I do so much better in a boot that's got some stiffness to it.
And I really wanted to love the stiff boot because I actually took those to Tajikistan as well, the Scarpas that gave me all the blisters because I felt...
You're trying to go 3 for 3?
I was giving it a longer
loyal
run
guy
because I had also then hunted with those boots for 5 days, and I was starting to wear them around the office more. I use those as my travel boots. Those are also my backup boot then if I needed it.
Yeah.
But again, so I understand that in super steep terrain that you're hunting, big gnarly mountains, sticking your toe in there and not having to flex it. I can get up there maybe a little quicker, so I'm not having to work that energy the whole time. So I get their purpose. And maybe I don't know. Maybe I should give them one more try in the summer.
I don't know.
I mean, if you broke that boot in, it might do.
It might do me
it might
well,
do you
yeah.
okay. But I will say, people. Brandon loves a stiffer boot.
Yeah, he loves them.
And he tends to break it in pretty damn quickly. I would say for most people, you probably think in your mind that you like a stiff boot. Reality is you probably like a little bit more flex than you think.
Yeah.
With regard to Brandon,
I agree.
Brandon really likes a stiff
Brandon
boot.
goes literally like ski boot.
Yeah, he loves a super stiff boot. I found very few people that actually love that type of boot. But there are some.
And then to go back in time, you remember all the archer hunts I used to do, and then that big archer hunt with you. Yes. I was wearing I don't even know if you can call it a shoe. Because it was so minimalist.
You're wearing tennis shoes.
And we were backpacking in we're past.
Weren't you wearing the speeds back then?
Yeah, the Solomon Speed Cross.
Yeah, Speed Cross.
In deep backcountry, heavy packs.
Heavy packs, gnarly terrain, but that really worked well for me. I never was.
Do your calves go? Do you feel your calves at all?
Maybe it's because I have benefit because I have such a longer leg down there. But not really. And even though I like that soft flex on an archer hunt because I can use those as stock. So I can then I'm hiking too. I can feel when I'm stepping on a rock, and so my foot can rotate around it.
There's something to be said for that for sure.
But that's what I was going to say. Yeah. There are definitely use cases for a flexible type of shoe like that. I wore the Salewa. You've got one, I think.
That Wildfire.
Yeah.
GTX.
So I wore that Wildfire GTX on my mountain goat hunt, and it was exactly what I needed because real rocky. I mean, there's no vegetation at all. It's straight rock. And the flexibility in that thing just allowed me to really work through the rocks. All the dexterity I needed with my feet.
And it's got grip too in that rock too.
Tons of grip. Real soupy, grippy sole. And then I find the same thing on elk hunts. I've been on in late season Arizona, just super really rocky terrain. A real flexible shoe like that is great. It just allows you tons of dexterity with your feet.
I will throw the side caveat in there that we already had heavy packs going in.